All right, let's dive into the Katha Upanishad today.
The Katha Upanishad.
Yeah, it's one of the more famous ones,
Absolutely.
dealing with some pretty big themes,
Yeah.
like death and immortality, and what this whole self thing is all about.
Yes.
Even figuring out where it fits in Vedic literature is kind of tricky.
Yeah, it really is like a literary puzzle.
Oh, a puzzle.
Yeah, some scholars say it's Yajurveda, others say Samaveda.
Okay.
But I think most people think it's Atharva Veda.
Atharva Veda. Okay. Maybe that's part of what makes it so interesting, though, right?
Yeah.
This kind of mysterious air around it.
Absolutely.
It gets even more interesting when you consider the format.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a straight-up text. It's this dialogue
Yeah.
between a young boy named Nachiketas
Nachiketas,
and Yama, the god of death.
the god of death. It's quite a pairing.
Yeah, it's like we're eavesdropping on this deep conversation.
It draws you in, and it's had an impact for centuries, you know?
Centuries. Wow.
Early Persian translations, it made its way to Europe.
Oh, wow. And then Rajaram Mohan Roy's English version really made it accessible.
So it reached a wider audience.
Yeah, even big names like Sir Edwin Arnold and Ralph Waldo Emerson were into it.
That's pretty impressive company.
It is. It's timeless.
It is timeless. It's amazing how these teachings from so long ago can still resonate.
Yeah,
But before we get too far ahead, let's go back to the start.
sure.
It all begins with a sacrifice, right?
It does. Nachiketas' father, Vahasrava, is performing this big ritual.
Okay.
He's supposed to give away all his possessions.
Everything.
Yeah, but Nachiketas, he's a smart kid.
Oh.
He notices something's off. His father's offering up these old weak cows.
So basically trying to get away with giving up the bare minimum.
Exactly, like a loophole.
A loophole, yeah.
And that's where Shraddha comes in.
No, Shraddha.
Often translated as faith, but it's deeper than that.
Deeper. All
It's
right.
this inner knowing, this fearlessness to see and act on the truth.
So it's about being true to yourself.
Yeah, and Nachiketa's full of Shraddha.
He calls his father out.
Oh, that's bold, especially during a big ceremony.
It is. He basically asks, well, if you're giving everything away, what about me?
Ooh, I bet his dad wasn't too thrilled about that.
Not at all. In a fit of anger, he says, fine, I give you to death.
Whoa, talk about an overreaction.
It was. But Nachiketa's, devoted son that he is,
Yeah.
he takes it as a way to protect his father.
To protect him.
Yeah, from any bad karma from breaking his vow.
So he goes to Yama, the god of death.
He does, and he ends up waiting there for 3 days
3 days.
at Yama's doorstep. When Yama finally gets back, he's super embarrassed.
Oh, no.
He realizes he's neglected his guest. To make up for it, he offers Nachiketa's 3 boons.
3 boons. Like wishes.
Exactly. 3 wishes he can ask for anything.
That's a pretty good apology gift.
It is. So what do you think Nachiketas asks for?
Let me think. He doesn't ask for a pony, does he?
He's a lot wiser than that.
Okay.
For his first boon, he asks for something that shows his character.
His character,
Yeah, he wants his father to be free from anger and worry
very selfless.
and to welcome him back with love when he returns from death's realm.
That's pretty beautiful, actually.
It is.
Putting his dad's well-being above his own wants. What about the second boon?
For his second, Nachiketas asks about the fire sacrifice that leads to heaven.
Fire. That's a big symbol in the Upanishads, right?
It is. What do you think it represents?
Transformation. Purification.
You got it. It's seen as the foundation of the world, both out there and within us.
Okay.
Yama explains how to do this specific fire sacrifice.
Like a guide to reach a higher plane.
That's one way to look at it. So 2 wishes down.
2 down. All right, this last one is the big one.
It is.
What does he ask for?
This is where it gets really deep.
Keep.
For his third boon, Nachiketas wants to know the secret of the afterlife.
The big question.
The one humans have been asking forever.
Forever, yeah. What's Yama's reaction?
Well, he's not exactly excited about it.
Oh.
He tries to talk Nachiketas out of it, offers him worldly pleasures instead.
Like what?
Long life, wealth, beautiful companions, anything to avoid answering.
Wow, that's interesting. It's like this knowledge is dangerous or something.
It speaks volumes about how heavy this knowledge is.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
But Nachiketas, he's determined, right?
Totally. He's on this quest for truth. Nothing can sway him.
Not even worldly pleasures.
Nope. He's like a spiritual detective. Gotta solve the case.
Gotta solve the case. So Yama gives in.
He does. seeing how sincere Nachiketas is, he agrees to share his insights.
And that's where the real teachings begin.
That's where it all starts.
And that's where we'll pick up next time.
Next time.
So join us for part 2 as we continue our deep dive into the Katha Upanishad.
It's going to be a good one.
It is. See you then.
See ya.
All right, so we're back diving deeper into the Katha Upanishad.
Back into the depths.
Last time we left off with Nachiketas turning down all these tempting offers from Yama.
Yeah, he was offered some pretty sweet deals.
All because he wants to know what happens after we die. You know, the big mystery.
He was laser focused on that ultimate question.
It's pretty intense.
It shows how deeply he craved understanding, and Yama saw that.
He saw it.
And so he starts to guide him.
Yeah.
He talks about these two paths in life, the path of the good and the path of the pleasant.
Oh, that's interesting. It's like that classic struggle, right?
Exactly, that timeless dilemma.
Instant gratification versus deeper meaning.
You got it. The path of the pleasant, that's all about seeking pleasure.
Indulging those desires.
Yeah, chasing those worldly things, those quick hits of happiness.
Okay.
Whereas the path of the good, that often takes discipline.
Discipline.
Yeah, sacrifice, looking beyond the surface.
To find what's really meaningful, long-lasting.
You got it. It's about aligning with something bigger.
So it's choosing long-term fulfillment over those quick bursts of joy.
Exactly. But how do we know which is which?
That's a good question. It can be tough to figure out what's truly good.
Right. It's not always obvious. Yama uses this image. He talks about the blind leading the blind.
Oh, the blind leading
To
the...
describe those who chase pleasure without really understanding.
It's a powerful image.
It is. It's like blindly following the crowd.
Yeah, stumbling around the dark, no clue where you're going.
Exactly. It shows how easily we can be misled.
By appearances, by people who say they're wise but aren't.
You got it. And this brings us to a big point, how hard it is to really know the self.
To know the self. It's like you need a guide for that, a teacher.
Absolutely, someone who's already walked the path. And Nachiketas, he's lucky.
Look,
He's face-to-face with Yama, the ultimate authority on life and death.
talk about hitting the jackpot.
Right. And Yama, seeing that Nachiketas is ready,
Ready?
he starts to share these deeper truths about the self, also called the Atman.
The Atman.
And he points to this sacred syllable, AUM, as the ultimate symbol.
AUM, have you ever come across that? Oh, yeah, I've heard it chanted in yoga classes and stuff. But I'll be honest, I never really got what it meant.
It's more than just a sound.
Okay.
It's considered this primordial vibration.
Primordial, wow.
The source of all creation. It's connected to this idea of sound Brahman.
Sound Brahman.
The idea that the universe comes from a cosmic word or sound.
Like this underlying hum of existence, the vibration that starts it all.
You got it. So AUM represents Brahman, this ultimate reality.
Okay, that makes sense.
Thank you.
But what about the Atman, the individual self?
That's the question.
How do those two connect?
That's the mystery. Yama says the Atman is unborn, undying.
Unborn, undying.
Untouched by time, by the body. Subtler than the subtlest.
Subtler than the subtle.
Greater than the greatest. Within each being, yet also everywhere.
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
It's a paradox. The self, this individual essence,
Mhm.
but also part of this vast web of existence.
We're both separate and connected at the same time.
Exactly. And get this, Yama says the Atman is both joyful and joyless.
Joyful and
It's beyond duality, beyond our usual ways of thinking.
definitely challenges how we normally see things.
It does. So how do we even begin to understand this?
Yeah, how do we go from just knowing about it to actually experiencing it?
Yama lays out a 3-stage path.
A 3-stage path. All right.
Hearing, reflecting, and realizing.
Okay, break that down for me.
So first, you hear the teachings, like Nachiketa's listening to Yama.
Okay.
Then you reflect on them, let them sink in, question things.
Got it.
And finally, through practice, through direct experience.
You realize the truth for yourself.
Exactly. Moving from knowledge to wisdom.
From theory to actually living it.
You got it. And to help explain this, Yama uses this analogy of a chariot.
Oh, the chariot analogy. I've heard of that.
He says the Atman is the lord of the chariot.
Good.
The body is the chariot itself.
Mm-hmm.
The intellect is the driver, the mind is the reins, and the senses are the horses.
Ah, so the senses are like wild horses pulling us in different directions.
Exactly. If the mind, the reins, aren't held tight by the intellect, the driver,
The chariot veers off course,
we get lost in those sensory pleasures, those fleeting desires.
and we never reach our destination.
You got it. So to realize the self,
You need discipline.
you need to control those senses.
Rein in those wild horses.
Yeah. Yama really emphasizes the dangers of uncontrolled senses.
And the power of a disciplined mind.
He even maps out this hierarchy of being, starting with the senses.
Okay.
Then the objects of the senses, then the mind, the intellect, the great Atman, the unmanifested.
The unmanifested.
And finally, Purusha, the cosmic soul.
Wow, it's like a journey inward.
From the outer layers to the core of our being.
From the surface to the source.
You got it. And he says it's crucial to turn inward.
Inward.
To see the self within, not out there in the world. But we can't forget Nachiketa's original question.
Right, the whole reason for this conversation.
The secret of death. What does Yama say about that?
Yeah, what does he say?
It's as mind-bending as his teachings on the self.
Mind-bending.
He says death, as we usually understand it, doesn't really apply to the true self.
It's not the end?
No. He says the self is beyond our senses, beyond our categories.
Okay.
Soundless, touchless, formless, undecaying.
Indestructible.
And he uses Nachiketas as an example.
Oh, so.
By choosing wisdom, by seeking truth.
Nachiketas has already gone beyond death.
He's transcended it.
It's like he got the ultimate cheat code for life.
Right. But there's more. Yama describes the body as a city with 11 gates.
11 gates.
The self is the ruler of the city, our being. He talks about how the self is both immanent and transcendent.
Immanent and transcendent.
Present in everything, yet also beyond everything.
This is getting pretty deep.
It is. Maybe we should pause here, take a breath.
Yeah, good idea. Let's recap what we've learned from Yama so far.
All right, so far he's talked about the two paths.
Right, the path of the good and the path of the pleasant.
He's described the self, the Atman, as eternal, all-pervading.
Beyond duality.
He's emphasized having a good teacher and the 3 stages of realization.
Hearing, reflecting, and realizing.
He's used the chariot analogy to show how important a disciplined mind is.
And he's revealed the secret of death, saying the true self can't die.
That's a lot to take in.
It is, but I bet there's still more to come.
Oh, there's definitely more to this ancient text.
All right, well, join us next time as we finish our deep dive into the Katha Upanishad. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the Katha Upanishad.
Back for more wisdom.
We've been on quite a journey, haven't we?
We have.
With Nachiketas and Yama, exploring the self, the paths we can take, even death.
It's been a profound exploration.
It has. And last time, we're just starting to see how deep this text really goes.
Like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Yeah.
Each layer revealing something new.
And as we get into this final section, Yama offers even more teachings. He uses this metaphor of a tree.
A tree.
The Advaita tree.
Ah, the Advaita.
To show the connection between Brahman and our world.
I love tree metaphors, don't you?
They do. They always seem to work.
There's something about that imagery.
Roots, branches, growth.
It speaks to us.
What's so special about the Advaita tree, though?
It's also known as the sacred fig tree.
Okay.
In many cultures, it's a symbol of life, interconnectedness.
Interconnectedness.
Yama describes it as rooted in the heavens.
Rooted in the heavens.
But its branches reach down into the world.
So the roots are Brahman, the source.
Exactly.
And the branches are all the forms and experiences we see.
All the diversity of the world.
But it all comes from that one source.
Unity amidst diversity.
It's a beautiful image. And Yama talks about prana, the life force.
Yes, the energy flowing through this cosmic tree.
Okay.
He compares Brahman to a thunderbolt.
A thunderbolt, wow.
Powerful, irresistible.
I could feel the energy in that. But how does this tree connect to death and immortality?
Well, Yama says those who don't realize the self before death, they stay bound to this cycle of birth and death.
Reincarnation.
Like leaves falling from the tree, only to be reborn on another branch.
So they might experience some happiness?
In heavenly realms, yes.
But it's not true immortality.
True liberation comes from union with Brahman.
That root, the source of everything.
Exactly.
Well, it's not enough to just live a good life hoping for a good afterlife.
It's about knowing the self, the Atman.
To break free from that cycle.
To escape that endless loop.
Sounds like a real challenge.
It is a profound undertaking.
And that's where yoga comes in.
Yoga, the path to liberation.
Yama describes it as holding back the senses, merging the lower self with the higher self.
Quieting the mind.
Stilling those wild horses.
Connecting with the divine within.
But he says it's not easy.
It takes constant effort.
Vigilance.
He also points out that we can't fully grasp the self with our normal ways of knowing.
Our senses, our thoughts.
Even our sight. They're not enough.
So how do we come to know it?
Yama says it's through the experience of he is.
He is. What does that mean?
It's a direct recognition of the self.
Like an aha moment.
Beyond words, beyond concepts.
But if the mind can't grasp it, how do we get there?
Through practice and by letting go of desire.
Letting go.
When we stop clinging to those external desires,
We create space for something deeper.
for that realization to emerge.
The less you chase happiness, the more you find it.
It's counterintuitive, but it's true. And Yama talks about the heart having 101 nerves.
101 nerves in the heart. Is that, like, anatomically accurate?
It's symbolic.
Right.
One nerve leads to immortality, the others to different realms.
So it's about making choices
Choosing the path of self-discovery.
over getting caught up in distraction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Yama says we need perseverance.
Perseverance.
He compares it to drawing out the self from the body.
Like pulling a stalk from a blade of grass.
Carefully, patiently,
No shortcuts.
just steady effort. And then the Upanishad ends with Nachiketa's achievement
He attained Brahman,
through Yama's teachings.
showing that this path is open to anyone.
Anyone who seeks this knowledge,
It's inspiring.
from a curious boy questioning his father,
to realizing liberation.
a model for us all.
It's amazing how much wisdom is packed into this text.
It really is.
We've just scratched the surface.
But even these glimpses have been powerful.
They have. It makes you want to keep exploring,
Keep contemplating.
to keep diving deeper into these teachings.
And into ourselves.
It's a reminder that wisdom is always there.
Waiting to be discovered.
So to everyone listening, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
Who knows what you might find.